Relax, please.
Command at the task force level is a personal career milestone. Tactically, it's the driver's seat. For Allied officers, it's a rare and invaluable experience. The tactical resources placed at their command are very considerable.
You got to get excited about being a deputy commander of 22 nations, 25,000 personnel, 200 aircraft, 40 ships, and 6 submarines. If you can't get excited about that as a deputy commander going into an exercise, then you're probably not in the right line of work.
When I was offered the opportunity to be the Expeditionary Strike Force commander, I was very excited. Commanding a task force of 12 ships with a total of 5,400 folks from 11 different countries is really, really exciting.
RIMPAC 2012 has provided me with an unbelievable personal and professional opportunity. As an airman, to get to lead 22 countries' air assets in support of the broader exercise has been truly remarkable.
My brother task force commanders have a specific role.
I realized very quickly that whatever personal expertise I might lack was resident in the force and in my commanders. And so I think the key to the preparation is to really have the opportunity to form the team and to talk to the key advisors, whether that's on the staff or the subordinate commanders, just to really make sure that you've got a frank, open exchange of ideas that help you formulate a plan and counsel you in the decisions that you make.
These exercises provide the Americans an opportunity to see what quality leaders other nations have, so when it does come time to put in a trusted ally, they'll have some understanding of what it is that those allies bring to the table.
Our key task was to be able to project the land force, which is a force of almost 2,000 Marines and soldiers, onto a shore to either stabilize an area, evacuate diplomats and entitled personnel conducting evacuation, or go track down and capture bad guys, or disrupt their activities. For instance, in a scenario where there might be a bomb-making facility somewhere, to go there, to capture it, and if you can't capture it, destroy it, gather the evidence, the intelligence, and so on, and bring it back. Like the Carrier Strike Group, we're out there supporting, doing boarding, the building the picture, understanding who's out there, keeping anyone who might try to interfere out of our operating area.
500 yards closing.
Morning, starboard wheel on, sir.
Steer 060.
Steer 060.
To be able to do that, you need to be able to control the ocean area around wherever you're going to land. It's very much a game of chess. You make a plan, you see how your opponent responds to you, and then you adjust. You need to think several moves ahead so that if you are surprised, you're in a good position to react anyway.
The Royal Canadian Air Force in RIMPAC 2012 has deployed a wide array of aircraft. At the front end of our fighter force, we've deployed 7 CF-18s from 425 Squadron in Baggaville. We've also deployed a robust CP-140 Aurora capability with 4 aircraft, both from 405 Squadron in Greenwood, Nova Scotia, and 407 in Comox. We have strategic and tactical tankers here in the form of a CC-150 Polaris tanker out of Trenton and a C-130 tactical tanker out of 435 Squadron in Winnipeg. And lastly, we've got 2 helicopters flying on the back of the HMCS Algonquin in Ottawa And they represent both coasts, 423 Squadron out of Shearwater and 443 out of Victoria.
Nothing makes an at-sea commander more nervous than an opposing submarine. HMCS Victoria faced a stern test at RIMPAC 12, her first since emerging from a 5-year-long extended docking period.
It's really important for Victoria to be here on a number of fronts. First of all, for Victoria herself, this is a dynamic, extremely advanced training environment. You've got 40 different ships, you've got 5 other submarines, you've got a whole raft of helicopters, maritime patrol aircraft. So the environment is very dense, very complex. The second thing is, one of the great things about participating in RIMPAC is we have these facilities offered by the US Navy of instrumented ranges, which can actually track the ground truth. So we think Victoria's pretty good. And in the end, we'll have the ground truth to prove how good she really is. So that's, for me as a fleet commander, that's really important.
Ships are very vulnerable to 2 things. They're very vulnerable to submarines and to mines. The submarine, because of its stealth, you don't know where it is. It can sneak in and it can wreak tremendous havoc. And so to find that submarine, any commander will use many of their assets. The submarine threat in the RIMPAC scenario was a pretty significant one. In other words, the country of Orange, should they have decided to oppose us, had a significant submarine fleet that really we didn't know exactly where they were. They could have been anywhere. And so you build a force and you lay your assets out in such a way that you maximize the opportunity to detect those submarines. In the end, my group was not directly attacked by submarines, and that was actually that was pretty comforting. It was, I think, largely due to the baseline plan that we had, but the close cooperation that we had with the Allied submarine commander and the Allied coalition anti-submarine air commander using Aurora aircraft and P3s to get out there and to really sweep the seas and try to locate those submarines and to establish barriers between where they may be and where we are. And then, of course, the great aggressiveness of the different ship's captains and the air crews that are embarked in their helicopters, who all play a really pivotal role in finding the submarine before the submarine can actually get in and hurt the ships. Victoria truly presents a very powerful operational capability for Canada. Victoria class is a very quiet submarine because it's a diesel electric boat, so it's even harder to find. So from that perspective, it can hide using the water column. It can exploit the features of the ocean because the ocean is not transparent as some people think. It has a great advantage if it keeps itself hidden to observe what's going on, to provide intelligence to whatever force it's operating for, and eventually, and ultimately to pose a direct threat. In the RIMPAC construct, because of the number of resources that are available, submarines will play good guys and bad guys, and Victoria did quite a bit of that. The other thing that she did was, of course, one of the most important roles a submarine has is to track other submarines. it's, along with aircraft, they're really the best tools to locate submarines and to continue to track them. And so they had several submarine on submarine type of tracking exercises, and she did a great job in that as well.
The other aspect of RIMPAC in Victoria is your opportunity here to participate in the SYNCEX. As many people may or may not know, there are 3 hulks that have been provided to this exercise, and the goal there is to fire as much live ordnance into these hulks in order to test our tactics, techniques, and procedures. And one of our strategic objectives during RIMPAC is to facilitate and allow HMCS Victoria to fire a Mark 48 torpedo.
AC, stand by, deliberate attack. Master 01, X Concord. Bring number 1 tube to the action stage. Bearings match. Fire!
Fire! Impulse return! Fired. White smoke has been fired.
Runway able 0.
No brakes!
Exploder on! Possible water break, 2-1! Yeah. We got it!
Unbrace. Unbrace.
She put a Mark 48 torpedo in the side of the Hulk Concord, which shortly thereafter found itself on the bottom, once again representing what a strategic and valuable asset submarines are for Canada and our allies.
I can't speak highly enough about what a tremendous opportunity I believe it was for Victoria to work in that complex of an exercise. You're not just working up against surface ships or 1 or 2 frigates that we'd be able to provide to an exercise. You actually have to break a screen of combatants whose sole mission in life is to try and identify and track and then in exercise sink you. I think that provides a great real-world challenge for that ship's captain and his ship's company in order to have the opportunity to demonstrate their prowess and success, and more importantly, demonstrate to exercise participants leadership, and then hopefully all Canadians to understand just what a formidable and strategic capability that submarine represents for Canada. So I thought I couldn't have been more pleased that Victoria was able to participate in RIMPAC.
RIMPAC, the largest maritime exercise in the world, takes place in the pristine waters of the Hawaiian Island chain. They must stay that way.
When we talk about the environment for Hawaii, it's one of the most pristine, gorgeous, beautiful areas in the world. There's coral reefs, there's a number of things, so even a simple exercise such as going to anchor might actually destroy some of the ecology. And it was mentioned, right up front, the importance of the environment. So all of the air crew, all of the ships had to be aware of all of the sanctuaries.
I would say that stewardship of the environment is something that all the participants were very, very aware of. Certainly the commander of the entire force and who's hosting the exercise had that as one of his major themes. Safety of personnel and equipment and safeguarding of the environment. I mean, those were the 2 #1 principles in everything you undertook in terms of doing your risk assessment on any activity that you undertake. I would say that as a sailor and certainly in command, but I would say that even at every level of the chain of command now, stewardship of the environment is ingrained in how we train.
There were very precise direction in terms of what to do in the event of a mammal sighting. If you're conducting live fire operations, if you're exercising your sonar, a prescribed set of responses if wildlife was identified.
Whether it's in Canada or anywhere in the world that we exercise, we've called off gunnery events and other activities and exercises to avoid harming any marine life. We train to prepare ourselves for success in operations. The training is a means to reduce the risk in operations, to have successful outcomes for whatever missions the Government of Canada throws at us. The simulation or the exercise resembles missions as much as possible. So it's essential that we have the opportunity to exercise in a simulated and in a real-world environment in our natural preparations to be ready to do whatever the government wants us to do. The assembly of ships in the scenario was intended to provide a show of force and send a clear message to the aggressors in the scenario. But really, we're out there building trust with folks from across the Pacific, east and west.
Bringing that many different countries together, and then in a very short workup period of about 10 days of alongside briefings, to be able to actually have them go to sea, speak all of those different languages, and be able to execute a complex program safely, that's a tremendous undertaking.
So it's really important that we take time to really understand each other, to build a trust and a confidence in each other, because we are each practicing our art in accordance with the political framework and guidance and direction of our respective governments. In other words, while all frigates can generally do frigate-like stuff, one nation's frigates may do a particular task, another nation's frigate may be unable to do that because of their government direction. So that's a big part of the shore phase, is to have those kinds of discussions. The other thing is, in building trust, there is an element of the social activities and the social side of things that really does help.
The opportunity to get to know at a personal level your colleagues and your commanders, I think is exceptionally important. And I think it helps you solve problems that much quicker. I think it helps you establish the trust and confidence in your colleagues that you'll be prepared to speak truth to power in terms of making sure everyone understands all the issues that surround a particularly challenge. So from my perspective, that social aspect is important to the exercise.
And in our case, in Canada, we've typically done a Canada Day reception just because we happen to be there on Canada Day, where we will, for the last two RIMPACs, we've partnered that reception with the Canadian Consul General responsible there, and so we've served as a backdrop for a Foreign Affairs International Trade and National Defense co-hosted reception, at which I think we have an opportunity to showcase Canadian talent.
Whether it was the United States Navy, Royal Australian Navy, the Chilean Navy, the Peruvian Navy, the relationships and the interaction was very much professional, and when you say equal partners, I think we were all equal partners. I can't help but think that there would probably be a very good reason to continue to hold RIMPAC every 2 years going forward. It's a small world. I can't help but think that all the relationships that were established in RIMPAC 2012 will stand their services in equal good stead in 2014, and more importantly, if there was a real world crisis that required us to form a coalition to respond to.
Therein lies the value for Canada and other allied nations. For apart from the nuts and bolts of tactical decision-making, allied commanders develop something even more valuable: even more essential to success: trust. Trust between commanders, higher and lower, so that the intent, the aim of the mission becomes embedded in the minds of every individual, and all the elements and units become concentrated into a single, irresistible force.
So for me, it's really important that Canadian ships have the opportunity to interact with other navies, interact with the assets of the Canadian Air Force, and then the great opportunity to work with 2nd Battalion of the Patricias out of Shiloh. They're the NEO company. They're embarked in the ship with me. So it's a great opportunity to bring different elements of the Canadian forces together in a joint environment and in a multinational environment with those 22 other nations.
Rise course, rise speed.
Rise course is 090 and speed 130, sir. Thanks.
Well, you get to walk across that brow on any ship, and you know you've got 250 plus or minus bright, hard-charging Canadians looking forward to getting the job done. So, you know, you gotta love going to work every day, knowing that that's what it is you're going to get to deal with. So, from my perspective, it's all about the people.
Both personally and professionally, it's been a fantastic opportunity to be here and first be offered this command position, but certainly to be able to lead the air component. The RCAF has deployed some of its top folks filling most of the major position in the Combined Air Operations Center. So to be able to see this amalgam of nations come together and to safely and effectively command that much air power in an exercise scenario has just been incredible to watch.
So I think by virtue of the fact that that you can actually point to this exercise and go, holy smokes, you know, you can really get a broad cross-section of folks together to work in a common goal of ensuring trust and stability. I think that's a very positive, resounding message, I would think, across the world. Just to say, oh look, nations can work together.
If we don't get the message out, Canadians won't truly understand why it's so important to invest their precious dollars, their taxpayer dollars, in that capability and what it represents for this country. The Canadian public should be extraordinarily impressed with the quality of the young men and women that they have conducting operations on their behalf globally around the world, because they are first class in every respect and, you know, top drawer, first class.